Hey, everybody, welcome to the little podcast we're going to do here to introduce our original music showcase. I'm Todd Bedard. I am one of the board members at the Central PA Music Hall of Fame, and I am so excited to be working on the original music showcases here around Central PA. We're starting with HMAC, Harrisburg Musical Arts Center down on 3rd Street. Please check that place out. It is an amazing, amazing venue. They have great, great things being booked there. Live Nation booking things upstairs, and locally they're booking downstairs and Stage on Her. And for the very first Central PA Music Hall of Fame original music showcase, we are featuring a headliner. This guy released a record, I think in 2019. He'll confirm that here in our interview. And then COVID had other plans and we put it on break, but I've been bugging him every time I see him. I'm like, hey, dude, you got to play this record live. Joey Dalto's band is going to be joining us. Please welcome Joey Dalto to the show. Welcome, Joey.
Thank you, Todd. Happy to be here.
I'm so excited for you to be playing this record live. I mean, I've been listening to this record for about a year. I announce horse shows in the summertime and I play it in the horse show ring, and people ask me about your record and who it is. So it is ear catching and people dig it. I play it up in New York when I'm there and so on. And it's just a fabulous record. And every time I hear it, I'm like, this record is screaming to me to be played live. I mean, it is a great recording, but like, it's one of those things where like, I want to hear a band on stage. I want to hear the raw guitars and the harmonies happening and not all the studio magic that goes along with making records. I want to hear this. So I'm so excited that you agreed to do this. Thank you so much. But let's dig into this a little bit and figure out where you came from. But like, how cool was it that you ended up as a finalist? Like, I think you said top 20 finalists. There were 20 guys that got auditions out in LA to be the singer in Fuel. So like, you go from your origin of like, hey, I'm going to audition for this band with a couple of high school buddies, and now I'm going to sing in Fuel. Like, tell me like real briefly, because we want to get to your record and start talking about the HMAC stuff. But like real briefly, how did you get to like the audition? Like, I mean, we all knew like it was very public. Brett Scallions left the band. He was playing in this other band, and we were all like, what's going to happen to Fuel? And then they tried to get Daughtry, and Daughtry said thanks but no thanks. And then they started auditioning, and you know, we all got the Angels and Demons record with Torn Green, but like you were part of it. You could have been the guy on Angels and Demons. Like, how did that come about, and where did you connect to them? So tell me a little bit about that in a real brief so we can get to your record.
So sadly I don't remember what the exact advertisement was that told me how to do it, but they put it out there to the masses, that if you think you can, if you can do it, here send your tracks, send us a version of Hemorrhage, or you can do this or that. And as soon as I saw that, found that, I just, I went to my hard drive, and it just so happens that Siphon, which was my first band, we actually did a small recording project at Holland Sound up near like Scranton. So I already had a version of me doing Hemorrhage. And it's so funny because we just recently realized that we actually recorded it in standard when they do Hemorrhage a half step down. So just weird off the wall stuff. But I already had my demo. And I submitted it. And I don't know what day it was, but I got an email that said, hey, if you can make it to, I think it was Roundhouse Studios in Los Angeles, California on such and such date, you can audition for Fuel. And I later on found out that, it was roughly like 20 people that they invited to come out. And I was in Echo Burn at the time. So I was playing show after show after show. And I'll only share this because I feel like it's important, and there's like some symbolism here for me with regard to my original record, and some of the symbolism, like I have my sparrow, on the cover there, and there's always like two sides to everything. And I think it's important for people to know, like, it's not just all the cool glimmery, awesome stuff that you see on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and
Amen, brother.
so I get this opportunity, and uh, the band Echo Burn, everyone's a little like, oh, you're gonna go audition for Fuel. They were very happy for me, but at the same time, like, well, if he gets this, what are we
What
gonna
are we
do?
gonna do? Right.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like one of those things that I don't think any of them could have faulted me for it. And honestly, I don't think it was, you know. I can't remember what year it was that happened, but like the movie Rockstar had come out,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing I can really compare it to. Like, I'm a Fuelie from day one,
Mm-hmm.
and this was like the dream, the dream opportunity, of a lifetime for me. And
Yeah.
the thing is, I love Fuel so much that it would only ever be as, dare I say, I'm just keeping Brett's seat warm.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really Fuel. In my own personal opinion, if they were going to do something else, without Brett, I feel like they maybe should have called it something else. I know they wanted to keep it, and I think
Agreed.
a lot of the diehard Fuelies,
Branding's important though.
I agree. I think if they would have like dubbed it something else, like, I think, that would have settled some of like the deep Fuely debates that you see on some of the
Right.
fan groups,
Sure.
which I'm a part of as well. Um, but yeah, so
So you ended up in
opportunity.
LA and you're singing
I'm
this.
out there. And it's after I did a Friday gig, and I had a double header on Saturday. My voice is shredded, and I hate to throw out excuses or whatever, but vocal cords are a son of a bitch,
Yep.
as a lot of
Not like
singers
your
know.
guitar. You don't just plug it in.
Yeah, so, and I took a red eye out to Los Angeles, and I was not in very good shape. My voice was pretty beat up. As soon as I got out there, I got myself a hotel room where I could take a nap because I was just tired from the 3 gigs the 2 days prior. And I was trying to get my voice in shape, and I just said it's going to be what it's going to be. Bought myself a little bottle of Jägermeister to, help loosen stuff up, which we all know that's not doing anybody any good.
It just
But
calms you.
yeah, but I went to Swing House Studios, and for my time slot, I waited my turn. It was a cool studio, gated lot. They opened the door. They said, Joey, yes, sir. Walked in, and right away, there's a camera. There's Carl. There's Jeff, and I can't remember the drummer's name. I think it was Matt. They didn't have Kevin Miller at the time. I think this was like
Tommy
Matt.
Stewart.
So
Tommy
Tony
Stewart.
Stewart was like the
Tommy
old
Stewart
gods.
played on Angels and Demons,
It was the
unless they use the studio guy.
I think you're right. He was like the old Godsmack drummer. So
Correct.
there were a couple people sitting in some seats here and stuff, but the camera was right there, and they're like, right away, it was just like boom, boom, boom. Come on in. Hey, where are you from? Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Oh, did you bring this, this crappy weather with you? Yeah.
Middlesworth
I
chips.
I I tell him, hey, Randy from Triple R Guitar sends his regards, and Carl makes some joke, oh, I bet he does. And Jeff Abercrombie looks at me and he's like, Dalto, why does that sound familiar? Interesting fact, my younger brother, Mike, took bass lessons from Jeff at Triple R Guitar and
What?
had no idea. No, Mike didn't stick with it. I wish he
Yeah.
would have, because
Yeah.
then we'd be starting the band, the Daltones.
Yeah, but then
But
Phil wouldn't be in the band. So,
but yeah, so I'm chatting with Jeff for a hot second, and then like, all right, I gotta go here, and they're like, what song are you doing? And I chose Jesus or a Gun because I was just gonna beat the piss out of my voice and just say a Hail Mary, and it just wasn't there. I gave it everything I had. But there were some, a couple of notes that weren't quite where I wish they would have been. And I think the pressure got to me a little bit. I'm looking to my left, and there's Jeff Abercrombie. I'm looking to my right, and there's Carl Bell. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening, like,
yeah,
freaking out. You only
cool.
get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow, like,
yeah,
it's happening. And I gotta say, it was a little nerve wracking sitting there with some of your idols, but it was, to this day, one of the most surreal, amazing 3.5 minutes of my life. I think I
Excellent.
was like so nervous I might have forgot like a lyric, and like Carl Bell like scoured at me. I was like, oh my god! Like
Yeah.
it was not the audition I wish I could have gave him. I was not in the shape that I feel like I brought my all, but still one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I think they made the right choice with Torrin Green. Torrin is a phenomenal
He's a
vocalist.
great
I think he
singer.
did an amazing job on the record. I have
Yep.
Angels and Demons.
Yep. I
Love it.
agree.
And mad props to Torrin Green.
He's a good singer. I dig
He's
him. I
phenomenal.
mean,
He's phenomenal.
he's it's not Fuel to me. It should have been called something else, but he's a great singer and that's a
Uh,
great record.
Agreed. And I love the new guy they have, the John Coruscant. He's a phenomenal singer as well.
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
no,
So
no, no doubt.
they know where to find these guys. But you know what? In that realm of the rock star movie, Lord only knows.
Well, the
Um,
only guy that's gotten to do that at this point is Tim Ripper Owens with Judas Priest.
yeah.
There really hasn't been the fan that's taken over other than like Tim Ripper Owens. Now I could be wrong, so if I am in the YouTube, please comment and show me where I'm wrong, people.
Well,
But
had
but
I
Joey,
had
let's
I
let's dig in.
sure.
Let's dig into your record because I
Okay.
think people are excited to. I mean, it's been. I think it was 2019. It was released. It might be 2020, but we'll agree that it's been out for about 2 years, and you haven't played it
Yeah.
live yet, and it's screaming to be played live. This all for you. So when I listen to the lyrics, I mean, it sounds like somewhat like a maybe autobiographical in a way. Um, my favorite lyric. Now I got to say this because this could be a meme. My favorite, "You're as pretty as a car crash," is possibly my favorite lyric because I want to keep that in my pocket so that if I ever
Mm.
have to insult somebody, I'd be like, you know what, you're as pretty as a car crash. I love that lyric. I love that song. It's a great song. Angel, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
from. So, tell me a little bit about the record, how it came together. Is it autobiographical? Where'd you get your inspiration for a lot of these songs? And then we'll dig into, actually, don't tell me too much about Miss Lonely yet, because we're going to dig into how that came about as well
Okay.
in the songwriting process.
Um, well, thank you. Yeah, it is semi-auto biographical. There's a little bit of artistic license taken here and there,
Yeah.
for the sake of, songwriting. But yeah, All for You is a culmination of uh, it's my relationship stories,
Yeah.
but it's not just about the relationships. There's a lot of intertwined stories and feelings in there. It's not just I guess you could say it's kind of based on the relationships, but also at the time where I was mentally, emotionally, the other things I had going
Mhm.
on in my life. So, while it's, about this relationship, the one song I can think of off the top of my head, not that anyone, well, maybe a handful of people have asked me, my song Isolate Me, there's the line
Mhm.
94 reasons that isolate me. It's a song, talking to my girlfriend at the time, that, is, threw it out there, well, what happens if you do become famous? What happens if you do this? Which,
Mhm.
I'll take local celebrity any day of the week. Really,
Mhm.
I'm just looking for an opportunity to play my music and just have fun doing it because it's I got it in me. I want to get it out there and I want to share it, and if people like it, that's amazing and that's awesome. But if you can do something you love, what do they say? You never work a day in your life, so you got to follow your passions and all that stuff. But so following those passions, they don't always line up with the relationships in your life, and the line, like, 94 reasons that isolate me. 94 is just symbolism for I was like driving from, like, I don't know if it was Dillsburg to York. I'd have to look at the map, but like I was on some, like, Route 94 or something,
Mm.
and I was kind of having this, this feeling about, like, where I was with this relationship and how being in the
Mhm.
band played, put this stress on the relationship, so it's
Mhm.
not 94 reasons. It's symbolism for the stress of being in a band and trying to make a relationship work when, you're worried about what the future looks like, with a
Yeah.
family and all that stuff. So, um, I'd like to say that there's a lot of layers to all
Hmm.
these songs, and that's what I'm hoping people will find. And I don't want to give away um, too many explanations of the songs, because I'm a big fan of Steven Tyler, and I think he said something, like with music videos, like it kind of ruined something with music, that you kind of gave people this visual that kind of ruined what people saw in their minds or what the songs meant to them. And when you share what the songs are about, it changes what the song means to you. So
Right.
in that regard,
It is important for
I
people to connect to those songs and like let it be what they are. Cause like if I listen to a
exactly.
tune of yours and I connect to it, like it might help me through a tough part in my life. And you might go, that's not what the song's about, Todd. But like for
Exactly.
me, it is about that and it helped me.
Exactly.
So like why ruin that? And that's what,
Exactly.
because that's what
Exactly.
music's about, really.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the listener's interpretation of what it means
Hmm.
to them. So that's why, as a part of my writing style, I try to leave things kind of open and not
Hmm.
so specific. And instead
Hmm.
of, um, just being very blunt about something, I try to find some symbolism that might,
Yeah, that's super cool.
gives me a way to say what I want to say, but doesn't necessarily point it out and leaves it open to interpretation that
Hmm.
might, mean something to somebody else. So,
Yeah.
I, as I, reference, my influences like Fuel and whatnot, I remember, I hear the songs of sirens sing, just this symbolism and use of, terminology from Greek mythology,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff that kind of turned me on to, okay, so it doesn't just have to be, like telling a story exactly how it is. You can create some imagery with your
Hmm.
lyrics. So yes, it's autobiographical. um, there's a lot of it that's inspired by relationships, both male and female.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't
Without
think it was
getting,
all lost love. It really felt like it could be, you could translate that to any friendship, mother, father,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
yeah. Can't stand, dare I say, is about is not about a love interest.
Yeah.
So when you're listening to that, it's about, the struggle with a friendship,
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
buddy of mine, and just the struggles that we kind of went through and
Yeah.
trying to figure out, some things. But so yeah,
Would you say that,
definitely.
would you say that like songwriting is cathartic to you? Like when you struggle in life, like, cause let's be honest, like, I mean, you know, life is good for the most part, but we all have struggles and we all have shit that we go through. And, all of us deal with our shit in different ways. Is your way of dealing with it in some instances? I mean, obviously you probably don't write a song for every little crappy part of your life, but like, is that cathartic to you and
Yeah,
therapeutic in that?
absolutely, absolutely. I personally always struggle to come up with the right words
Mm,
in conversation.
mm-hmm.
And in speaking with my sweetheart and significant other, Shannon, I will apologize all the time. Like, I don't know if I said this the way I meant to, and I don't know how to explain this, or say what I'm trying to say. But that's the beautiful thing about music and writing music that I love, is that you get to take your time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you get to figure out exactly what you want to say and how you want to say it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where my real passion comes into play with writing music, is being able to craft it, and take your time. There's a lot of people that say the best songs are the songs that happen the fastest,
Mm,
and it came together so quickly, and those are usually the hits. And I can't really say that I have, hits.
maybe.
I'm a local guy from Central PA. I got a couple songs on Spotify. No national notoriety yet, um, but it's still
But
early in the game.
it is.
And but I would I start riffing there and I kind of like lose my train of thought. That's
No,
my
it's all good.
ADHD kicking in.
Yeah, it's all
But
good.
but yeah, it's my opportunity to get it right.
Yeah,
What I
absolutely.
want to say, and that's really important to me in the songwriting process. So a lot of my inspiration is from my relationships, my experiences,
Hmm.
and I will say, in the songwriting process, the one thing, when you and I were kind of chatting a little bit earlier, we were talking about like the younger generation and younger group of songwriters, that might be out there, and giving them some of the stuff. If there's anything I can share, and if I dare I say, that I have some wisdom to bestow upon them, is
You
be
do because you got songs, buddy.
is is be authentic
Yeah,
as possible.
yeah.
I have, so this is a 10 song CD. I probably have 80, 90, song
Oh,
ideas.
oh wow. Okay.
I'm already, I've already got a good list of tunes for my next record.
Yeah.
When that is to be put out, I don't know. There might be a song or two that we play at the album release that you've never heard before. So we're looking forward to, playing the record, but also playing a
Yeah.
couple of other tunes, maybe a cover or two. We'll
Well,
see.
before we dig into the show, can we dig into some more about songwriting? So
Sure.
let's take the hit that you've been playing. Miss Lonely is the first song I heard that you were willing to share with the world. You played it
Hmm.
acoustic, and I always think, like, for me, and this is personal, and feel free to disagree, any of the audience or even you, Joey. Like, I think the definition of a good song is something that could be taken from the record and played acoustically. So, like, if you take something that's as produced as like a Lady Gaga tune,
Hmm.
and when she plays it on her piano and it's still an amazing tune, that's, to me, is the sign of a good song, because it stands up without all of the glitz and the glamour of the studio magic. And so Miss Lonely is one of those for me. It's a real hit. You got a great
Hmm.
hook. You got a great hook in it. So let's dig into the process a little bit. I mean, I've seen your videos, and during COVID, you would do these Facebook things with acoustic guitar. So I'm going to make
Hmm.
an assumption that maybe you write a lot on acoustic guitar. But talk to me about your process. Like, did you come up with the melody for Miss Lonely and then go, okay, I'm going to put lyrics to this, or did you have lyrics to Miss Lonely and then you were like, I got to put a melody together? And then talk to me about how you went from like maybe the basics of the tune to go, oh, it's got this really cool synth opening that you're using, and you're using some track stuff in the studio version of the song, and then where you put harmonies and things like that. I mean, that's a multi-pronged question, I get,
Sure.
but I want to dig into, like, for the audience, that maybe any of the young songwriters that might be listening to us that are looking for ideas on how they put a song together. Tell us about how you crafted that particular tune, because it's a really interesting tune. I only heard it acoustic for a long, long time, and then when I heard the studio version, I'm like, holy cow, that's pretty cool. He's got a lot of layers to it. So talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about how you built that from like the ground up, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So, I don't I don't play a lot of instruments. Guitar is my main instrument, so that usually ends up being the primary vessel for song creation. And you can't always crank your amp to 11. So the acoustic guitar is really where a lot of my songs are born, and where I noodle with my ideas. Um, I I use a lot of different methods. For song creation. Sometimes you come up with lyrical ideas first, like a catchphrase or something, that you really like. But with Miss Lonely started with the music.
Mm,
So Miss Lonely was a just jamming by myself and trying to come up with stuff that I found interesting. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear it here. I have my mic set up, but I don't know. But I probably won't play too much here for you. But uh, I I attribute a lot of my songwriting to my years playing in cover bands, because
mm,
I'm not classically trained. I'm not.
yeah.
I don't know musical theory, so like I know power chords. I've learned about ABC. Song structure, songwriting. So for me, it's about coming up with the parts, but coming up with the riffs and the ideas and the chord progressions that kind of lay the palette for lyric
Mm-hmm.
writing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
give me a nice bass here that I can write some lyrics to,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, that I can come up with some melodic ideas and whatnot. But Miss Lonely is you know, it's fairly simple chords.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know if you can hear that, but
Sounds loud and
an
clear.
an
Perfect.
open, you know, open, what is it, like a C sharp, just, you know, power chord essentially, with, you know, open strings. And as I noodle around trying to come up with different ideas, you know, throwing a bass note in there. Um, and for me, it's been about coming up with these like melodic, you know, patterns, and then just trying to keep it interesting. You know, I know there's
So you
three
would
chord
hold
songs.
on, let me stop you for a minute. So you would strum the
Sure.
chords like you were just doing, like
Mm-hmm.
which is really slow, and like maybe those, like I don't hear musical stuff quite the way musicians do, but like
Sure.
that might be the chords to Miss Lonely, I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. So
but then you went like from that to like you know, like
yeah.
how'd you
Yeah.
like, what made you go from like those strummy chords like you're doing to going, you know what, this needs like a ba, 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 ba. Like
Well,
how'd that
yeah,
happen?
it's
Take
all
me through that.
it's all jamming. You know, you do one thing, you try it like, you know, a bunch of different ways. And I think this kind of goes back to the as my ADHD is dissipating and I'm remembering what we were talking about a little earlier, was uh, you know, people writing songs, you know, and the best songs come the quickest. You don't have to think about too much. Well, you know, my songs, you know, some of them kind of come quickly. The chord progression for Miss Lonely came fairly quickly. The lyrics didn't come quite so fast. But I think that's kind of the cool thing, is like, you know, for me, dare I say, you know, it's always, you know, the song is always something you can come back to and kind of tweak or whatever, and you can always make it a little bit better. So it's like, you know, your first run, you know, you don't like these lyrics, you don't like this, you know, you can always come back and kind of tweak it, and it's a constant refining process until you get to the part, you know, or the the part where you're like, you know, this is how I like it. This is what I like. I like these lyrics. This feels the most authentic to me. This is what pleases
Mm.
me. I like this. If it makes me happy, that's really what I'm most concerned with. If I enjoy it and I like it, I just keep my fingers crossed that other people are going to like it.
That's all you can do.
And that's all you can really do.
Right.
So you know, I've tried to write songs, you know, for the masses. I've tried to write myself a hit single, and writing those catchy lyrics, and I end up listening to my rough demos, and I'm like, this is the douchiest song I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And if I feel like a douche singing it, you know, I think everyone's gonna think I'm a douche singing it. So
Probably gonna
I
look
the
up there and go, look at that douche.
well, that's why I talk
Yeah.
about, you know, authenticity and trying to
Right.
write stuff that's true to you.
Yeah.
So for me, it was really about the chord progression, and it's just like, you know, you can't, you know, it's not Sublime where you can just play the same, you know, three chords over and over again and do
Yeah.
your whole thing. I wanted to be a little bit more interesting than that. So like I have my verse, and it's like, well, I need a bridge. We got to change it up. We got to keep it interesting. So, you know, where can we go? And I came up with my bridge, you know. And it has a thing that we might never find the one. It's a lifetime, enough time for an unconditional love. And it's just like, where can we take it next? Because you want to share the
Yeah.
story, but you want to change it and you want to
Right.
make it different and interesting. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know, where can we take it? And my dad years ago always told me that songwriting is kind of like, you know, the verses and whatnot not are kind of the story, and
Mm-hmm.
or the question, and the chorus is kind of the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you know, so for me, like, I if it doesn't sound like a hook to me, like, I'm like, that's not really a song, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to write something that resonates and sounds, you know, like it's an answer, like it's something, you
Yeah.
know. And
But when you're doing the chorus, so like the verses make sense, you sound really good, the hook's there. But when you're doing the chorus, like Phil harmonizes with you, and to me, that's what makes the song a hit. Like it's like that big, huge. And again, child of the
Yeah.
'80s, grew up with the
Yeah.
big, huge choruses, the Def Leppards, the Bon Jovis, those Motley
Oh,
Crues, that
absolutely.
era of big
Absolutely.
choruses. But so I'm attracted to that. But like, where did you, when you're writing that tune and you're with your acoustic guitar, where did you go? You know what? I need to call Phil and he needs to sing this with me. you know,
So,
or
yeah,
did
no,
Phil call you and
absolutely.
go, dude, I need to sing that with you? Like,
No, no. Phil, as I mentioned, my hetero life mate, my good buddy, he's, one of the best musicians I've ever met, and he's a phenomenal harmonist.
yeah,
Phil
you guys are
has,
phenomenal together.
dare I say, perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Phil is one of those guys that can pick stuff out of the air, tell you that's this, that, whatever, and he's like a
Hmm.
harmony guru.
Yeah.
Um, with Miss Lonely,
Some people call those
um,
people geniuses.
well, I would call Phil a genius.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would too. I would too.
dare I say that might be like
If
actually
he was here, we could hug him.
the band name, like
Yeah.
because I feel like my buddy Tyler, he's a musical genius.
Yeah.
Phil's a musical genius, and Trent. My
Maybe you
goal.
should stop playing under Joey Dalto and call it genius.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
My goal with putting this band together and doing this was to be like the worst musician in the band, and I've
Yeah.
achieved that with these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
So
you have.
I'm very excited about that. But with Miss Lonely, when you talk about the songwriting process, it's a building process. You come
Hmm.
up with your rough draft, which is you always got to get the foundation, and that's I think always has been my strong point. And like with the guys I'm working with, it's like okay, well, we can jam on this, that, or whatever, but like unless you have a chord structure and some basic lyrics, you got nothing. You got
Hmm.
elevator music. So
Hmm.
I try to come up with the bare bones, the chord structure, verse, chorus, bridge, here a little something here. And then with like today's technology, with all the digital audio workstations, there's just so many amazing tools that you can use to create your own demos. And so I would put together these demos and I would just play around, and it's all about having fun. So these harmonies that we came up with, I don't know if you can hear it, like when you do the chorus, it's not to be, there's this
Hmm.
ah,
Hmm. Oh
and
yeah.
that was just playing around and having fun and like ideas, and that's like about the
So
entire
did
process.
you Pro Tools the harmonies yourself and then send it to the band and go, Phil's doing this part?
No, no. So I get the rough ideas and I try to get it as close as I can. Then I'm like, Phil, listen to this, fix it.
Hmm.
Tell me what I'm doing wrong,
Yeah.
because I might be like, the wrong, this, that, or he's like, oh, I think what you're going for is a fifth here. So like
Hmm.
Phil and the rest of the guys are kind of like my spell check,
Yeah.
where
Yeah. Yeah.
they tweak it and help me, get it just right. But then there's a little, post production as well where we say, I think we need a little something here, and that I would attribute to Tyler. So Tyler also mixed the record,
Okay.
but I also got to give a shout out to Mike Waskovich
Hmm.
from MDW Studios.
Hmm.
Mike is where we recorded it at his studio, and then Tyler mixed the record. So there was a little bit of production from Mike. There was a little bit of production from Tyler. So it's like you kind of bring your baby,
Hmm.
to the band. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
so this is my baby, and
Yeah.
this is what I got, and these are the ideas and the thoughts that I have. But then you do open it up a little bit, and you say, you like, well, like, this is what I got. Tell me
Right.
what you think,
Well, let me back
and
up for a minute. So, like,
sure.
when you recorded you demoed. Obviously, you demoed Miss Lonely. We'll stay with that
Hmm.
tune for a minute. You had the chorus, you had the hooks, the bridges, all that stuff. So you're taking that to Trent. Did you Pro Tool the drums in and say, Trent, play this as you hear it? Or did you
No.
say, here's what I have, what would you lay? Because like in some instances, I can hear some drummers that would come in and they do some jazzy ghost notes over top of it,
Hmm.
which would
Hmm.
sound really fine and sound really good. Trent really stayed in that pop vein where it was kind of like that 4/4, and he's
Hmm.
really amazing at that. Again, I'm not, please don't consider this as a criticism at all, but like some drummers would play that with ghost notes and fancy fills. Trent's played it straight and stayed in the pop vein to it and does an amazing job. And I mean, the first time I ever saw Trent, he was playing like really proggy music. So like
Hmm.
Trent's got chops for days. but
Yeah.
he stayed in the pocket for you for that. So how'd that come about in terms of like even the rhythm piece when you sent that to your drummer and your rhythm section?
So when you're trying to find the guys, or you're looking at the musicians that you want to play on your record, you don't just you'll do you play on the record.
Mm-hmm.
um I wanted Trent and Phil and Tyler to play on the record because of what they bring to the table
Mm-hmm.
musically. So
Mm-hmm.
like when I gave them rough demo tracks, um it was simple bass lines. It might have been a canned drum, just something, kick, snare, hi-hat, just to keep a beat. So they pretty much had, full reign to bring their, style to the record. So as much as I want to, would like to take credit for this record sounding the way it does, I really fall back on the band, helping to create this sound. Like I always knew what I was going for, but that's why I got these guys to do it. I
Mm-hmm.
gave Phil like a simple bass line, but I was like, this is kind of the idea. Go with it. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like hiring a sessions player. You don't hire a
Yeah.
session player to play this what I played. You want someone that's going to lay something down.
Mm-hmm.
And
But sometimes you do hire a like like my son's a musician, and sometimes he
sure,
gets hired to play
phenomenal
like
musician.
thank you. They'll say like play this as you hear it,
Yeah,
and sometimes he gets hired and go, here's some chords and some things. Can you lay a drum track? Can you put a drum track together?
sure.
So it is sometimes two different versions in the studio. And that's why I
Yeah,
was interested to hear what your thoughts were. Cause like obviously you recognize, you kind of have a philosophy like I have. I don't stand in the way of artists. If I hire like a Trent Sprinkle, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm hiring Trent Sprinkle to be Trent Sprinkle,
exactly.
not to be Todd
Exactly.
Bedard's version of Trent Sprinkle. Like
Exactly.
I'm hiring him because of who he is and what he does. So here's my chords. Do this. Do your thing, man. I'll
E-
stay out of the
e-
way.
Exactly, and that's kind of like we were talking about. Like, I try to write the foundation. Once you have the base of the chord structures and the lyrics, and here's the bridge here. It's kind of wide open for these guys to just kind of play around
Mm,
with it.
that's
And
cool.
Phil didn't rehearse
Mm-hmm.
before we went into the studio. He just kind
Mm-hmm.
of plugged in and started going. And
Mm-hmm.
Trent, there might have been a little bit of, just like, running through the songs before we went into the studio, and
Yeah.
a little bit of
Yeah.
but that's all Trent. It's all Phil, and it's all
Yeah.
Tyler, and that's
Yeah.
just the thing, that they're amazing musicians. It's very
Yeah.
tasteful, and that's why they played on the record, and that's why they're in my
Yeah.
band.
Well, that was kind of what I was after, because you mean we're going to do a series of these kind of interviews with different songwriters, and
Mm-hmm.
and I think there are people that come from different perspectives, where like the rigid songwriter who's going to say, you know what, I wrote this, I pro tooled it, play this, this is what I want, this is what and those people are really good at that. Like some of the people that do that stuff are phenomenal at it and produce great songs, and you and I are kind of more. If I was a songwriter, I'd be more like you. I'd be like, you know what, I'm going to do this framework, and then I'm going to hire really cool people and get the hell out of the way. And and that's cool too. I really appreciate, like as a fan, I really appreciate watching that. So um well, Joey, this has been a fun interview, and I'm thankful that you spent some time with me here. Let's wrap up. I got a couple of 90s albums
Okay.
that we're going to talk about. I'm so excited. September 16th, which is a Friday night, at HMAC. You can go to hbgarts.com. Find September 16th. You can buy some tickets. There are still some tickets available, but it is selling fast, folks. 300 people is a sellout. So do not miss this. Joey Dalto is playing All For You in its entirety. And I know he's got some surprises that we probably don't have time to talk about in the time we have now. But if you show up on the 16th, you're going to see some phenomenal musicianship. Joey Dalto's headlining that night. The co-headliners that night are Number of the Sun. They're playing right before Joey. We have Dandy doing an original. Dandy just added, if you've seen Dandy before, they do acoustic acts, but they've just added a keyboard and drummer. So they're gonna be expanded, and it's gonna be phenomenal. And Brenda Brune's opening the show. at 8 o'clock with a few songs acoustic. And if you've not seen Brenda before, she has a phenomenal voice, phenomenal singer, great songwriter, all original music, all night long, September 16th, and all Central PA artists. One of the reasons that I got involved in doing this is when I grew up in the 90s. I'm a little bit older than some of you. I used to walk around to the bars in Central PA, and you'd walk in anywhere, and there was all original acts. That's how I discovered the underground cartoons and the Pollens and many the Jelly Bricks. I mean, geez, I discovered the Jelly Bricks on a whim. Paid
Right.
$5 to get in. I'm like, who's this band? They're like, oh, it's the Jelly Bricks. I'm like, so if you've ever heard the Jelly Bricks, you're like, oh
Yeah.
wow, you discovered them. Geez.
Shout out to my buddy Bryce.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So there's all kinds of great artists in the area, and I'd love to kind of see that original music vibe revive here in Central PA. And Joey's going to be the kickoff to that, hopefully, with his album release, and we're going to see three great bands. So Joey, I'm so thankful that you're doing this. This album is screaming to play live, and I'm finally glad that you gave in to all my needling and elbowing and bugging you
Thank you.
for what, 2 years? I think I've been bugging you.
Yeah.
You'd see me coming and you'd put your head down and walk to the other end of the bar. You'd be like, he's
Uh,
going to ask me to play the record again.
we owe you a lot, Todd.
So
Thank
you don't owe me anything. Just play that show and I'll be there, and I'll be in the front row hanging out and having fun. So, but before we go, we're gonna do. There was a great show that I loved in the late in a couple of years ago called That Metal Show, and they would do this thing called the Throwdown, where they'd put two albums against each other. So since you're a child of the 90s and I can hear the 90s influence all over your record, we're going to throw some 90s records at you. Throw down. You got to pick one. Both of them are great. Two landmark records from landmark artists, from phenomenal artists from the 90s, but you can only pick one record. Which one will it be? We're going to start with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, two landmark records, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, Californication. Which one are you taking home?
Man, I own Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and that's actually one of the first CDs I remember listening to, hanging out with a buddy of mine. Like, was it middle school? Like, I can't remember what year that came out, but like, yeah, like hanging out at a buddy's house, and like he showed me the album. I was like, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. So like, yeah, Blood Sugar Sex Magic all the way.
Yeah.
Californication, super cool, whatever. But
super cool.
Yeah, Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
There's nothing like Sir Psycho Sexy. That is me, or something.
Oh.
All right, next one.
Noted.
Nirvana. Nevermind or In Utero. Probably easy, but they're two landmark records. In Utero's got a lot of great ones, you know, and a lot of the people, other than Smells Like Teen Spirit, a lot of people know the stuff from In Utero. Yeah. Which one would you take?
Love Nirvana. I gotta go with Nevermind.
Yep, that's I'd pick that one too. All right, Alice in Chains. The beginning of the whole thing, facelift, Man in a Box. But then we have the landmark record, Dirt, top to bottom, one of the most phenomenal records that come out of that era. Jerry Cantrell, one of the great guitar players and songwriters of the 90s. Which one are you taking home with you?
So I don't know if you know this, but well, I think you do know this, is that I'm a new father. I have a son. He is going on 14 months old now. His name is Lane, Layne. And the thing that sold me on his name when Chan, recommended it, I was like, Alice in Chains, Lane, like Lane Staley, absolutely, all day long, absolutely. Yeah. So I like to think of my son's namesake as being Lane Staley, and I got to go with Dirt. Go with Dirt.
Yeah,
I'm a Dirt fan. So
I'm with you. I agree with you there. All right, Stone Temple Pilots. I know it's one of your favorite bands. When I was doing some research for this, you got to look up Joey Dalto Fangs. It's a musical show that he did up in Dorney Park. One of those theater shows, and he's playing I think it's Interstate Love Song. So we'll go with the was it Interstate Love? Pretty sure it was Interstate Love Song. I could be wrong on the song.
We do Interstate Love Song in the Swisher Suites, but I think the song you're thinking of is what's the
There you go.
It's escaped me right now. It's
Well, they'll
my
have to hit us in the comments. So look it
my
up,
digital
Joey
dementia.
Dalto Fangs. Look it up and tell us what song he's playing in the comments, because obviously Joey doesn't know and I don't remember because I'm old and decrepit
It's gonna
and
drive me
he's got
nuts now.
ADD. So, but here we
It's
go. The first record, Core, the beginning of Stone Temple Pilots. Many think it's the landmark record. I mean, Dead and Bloated, one of the greatest album openers ever. And then we have Purple, Plush, Interstate Love Song. Which one you taking home?
Man, I'm such a big STP fan, and as I look it up, just sadly, it's not STP. It's Velvet Revolver. The song. It was Slither.
Was it really?
It
Oh
was
my
Slither.
God.
It was
Okay.
Slither.
All
So
right.
Scott Weiland all
I'm
the
out of here.
way,
All right.
and as you
It
know,
was Wyland.
I'm a big fan. You know, it's the last autobiography I read cover to cover here. Big Scott Weiland fan. Love Core. That was the intro. You know, that's amazing. But I gotta go with Purple. I
Yeah.
gotta go with Purple.
Okay. All right. I'm a Core guy because Dead and Bloated is possibly the greatest album opener in the history of album openers. Like, I mean, when you can just come in with a cappella and just be badass with the first four bars of the vocal. Like, yeah. Like, I mean, come on. Like, it's got to be Core just on that alone. And then you have Sex Type Thing as your second song. I mean, but anyway, all right.
A lot of hits.
Two more. Here we go. Soundgarden, Super Unknown, Fell on Black Days, that song. Bad Motorfinger, Home of Rusty Cage, and Outshined. The heavy version of Soundgarden is Bad Motorfinger, a little more refined with Super Unknown. Which one are you taking home?
I'm just a sucker for that melodic rock, man. So I gotta go with Super Unknown.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm a bad
I love it all. I love it all.
I'm with you.
I would rock
it's a one
any
and
of
one
those
A
albums,
thing.
but if I gotta pick, you know,
Yep. I'm with
Super
you.
Unknown.
That's fair. That is fair. I like the heavier side of Soundgarden. Outshined is one of the heaviest, coolest songs. And Rusty Cage from a guitar player side, check that out. There's a lot of crazy Kim Thale guitar picking in that complicates things. So, but feel free to look that up on your own time, people. All right, final one, because I know this is your favorite band in the world. Sunburn or Something Like Human, Fuel. I mean, it's probably one and one A plus plus plus, but you got to pick one. You can only take one to the desert island.
Those are definitely my two favorite Fuel albums.
Yeah. The two landmark ones,
Sunburn,
if you think about it.
Something Like Human, and
Something Like Human as Hemorrhage, Sunburn as Shimmer.
Then it was Natural Selection, then it was Angels and Devils, and then Brett did Puppet Strings, and now we have the Carl's new stuff. I gotta go with Sunburn.
All right.
Sunburn is what started it all. You know, that's the one. I can listen to Sunburn and Something Like Human from end to end, but like Sunburn, there's too much emotionally tied to that, so I gotta go with Sunburn, even though I love Something Like Human. And like Down, like that's probably something like I gotta like watch, be careful what I do with my voice, but like sometimes I listen to Fuel and like next thing I know, like I'm just singing, and like and you get to a song like Down and I'm just like screaming in my car by myself looking like a crazy person. Suck me down. And it's just like and you come out of it, you're like when someone's looking at you like at the red light next to you, it's just Sunburn all the way.
All right. Well, maybe don't play Down in your car until maybe September 17th, so we can preserve your voice for this beautiful show that's happening. So I'm again, Joey, so excited that you're going to be with us and you're going to be the first of the original showcases. When we decided to put this together, I mean, you probably don't know this, maybe you do, but you were the first guy that I was thinking, I'm calling Joey because that record needs to be played live. And I don't know how much booze I'm gonna have to buy him. Maybe I'll take him out and get him drunk and get him to agree to something while he's drunk or whatever. But cool part is you agreed to this entirely sober, and it's gonna be phenomenal. Get your tickets before they're gone, because like I said, 300 is a sellout, and that room is absolutely phenomenal. I've seen some great bands in there, and you're gonna see 4 great bands that night: Joey Dalto, Number of the Sun, Dandy, and Brenda Brune. that's the lineup that night. As soon as that show's done, September 18th, we're going to announce the next show. We're going to be doing a couple of shows for a couple of months. But Joey, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight and having some fun and telling us a little bit about what we're going to see. I know there's going to be some surprises because I've been talking to you about it. I don't want to talk too much about those surprises. So we'll just say show up that night, because what you think you know, you don't know.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Central Pennsylvania Music Hall of Fame. And we'll see you guys at HMAC. Thank you.
Thanks, Joey.